Again? Good. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I'm using all three to greet you because I know people are from different countries around the world. You are welcome to this program. We are praying that it will be a wonderful session and that there will be a lot of interaction. As a way of introduction, my name is Mike Oye. I am based right now in the US, in Texas, but I have traveled around the world a bit, traveled to about 26 African countries. I've traveled to Asia, to Europe, and I have traveled in the capacity of an agriculturist, also in the capacity as a Christian. I've also traveled in the capacity of a naturopath, that is using natural things for treating people who have some disorders and sicknesses. I try to combine all those three wherever I go. And I have been concerned about hunger around the world. Wherever I go, I try to teach local farmers simple ways of growing things, growing them particularly organically. So this is a little introduction I will make. I have noticed that in the developing countries, particularly in the tropical countries, there is a lot of hunger, and yet there is a lot of land to grow crops and to raise animals. But most people are discouraged from farming because the method of farming today is with chemicals, and the chemicals are getting more and more costly. Apart from the cost, we know also that the food produced is not very healthy using chemicals, and many dangerous diseases have been introduced into our communities around the world because of the use of chemicals, pesticides, artificial fertilizers, herbicides. Apart from the land being polluted, our waters are polluted, the air is polluted. Chronic diseases like cancers and tumors and all types of things have happened to us. So the aim of this particular program is to help very, very poor farmers to be able to grow enough food for their homes and have a bit surplus. Not only to get enough food, but also to get healthy food. And the formula I'm trying to use, which is called the CAMP-AGGAMMAL strategy for production of food, is something I have devised over some decades, and I've taught some local farmers in about 22 countries in Africa. But now I want it to be common to everybody. I want it to go around the world so that those who take advantage of some aspects of the formula can improve their health and have enough food also for the family. I know that the people listening to me right now are not the actual farmers, but we are educated enough and concerned enough to pass over the knowledge, the expertise to those at the grassroots, because that is where the poverty is, that is where the sicknesses are. I am grateful that you are on this program. You are fully welcome. And I'm trusting that you will be an agent in God's hands to extend the little knowledge I'm going to share with local people wherever you are. There can be times of interaction when we can know one another better. But to start with, I want everybody who is participating right now to later use my phone number to send a message to me, giving me your biodata, your name, what you do, where you are, your age, your sex, just a few things like that, so that there can be communication later. I want to know you personally and to be able to share many more things with you as time goes on. Once again, you are fully welcome, and God bless you richly. The CAMP-AGGAMMAL formula CAMP-AGGAMMAL formula is spelled CAMP as one word, then there's a hyphen, AGGAMMAL, CAMP-AGGAMMAL, CAMP in capitals, then dash, then AGGAMMAL, AGGAMMAL, CAMP-AGGAMMAL. Each of the capital letters stands for a plant or a material which is an input in farming. The inputs are fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. We are going to go into details on each one of them. But let me give you what each letter stands for immediately. If you will arrange the CAMP-AGGAMMAL I've said vertically, that will be helpful. That means C at the top, A below the C, M below the, and so on. CAMP-AGGAMMAL. Just go vertically down. Then you can write the full name as I mentioned them. The C that starts it is for a plant called Crotalaria. CROTALARIA. Laria, Crotalaria. The A that follows it is for acacia. 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 Acacia is a small shrub found mainly in the savanna area. Crotalaria is found all over the tropical world. It's a small herb. M stands for moringa. 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 Moringa is a popular small shrub, mainly in savanna areas, but it can grow everywhere in the tropics. We are going to learn a lot about that. Very versatile. The P for camp stands for pueraria. 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 Pueraria is a leguminous plant, a creeping plant. We will learn a lot about it soon. So that is camp. Then leave one space and then spell Aggamal downwards. Aggammal. Aggamal. The A for Aggamal stands for ash. 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 Wood ash. G, the first G, stands for granite. 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 Granite dust. Granite dust. DUST. The second G stands for a leguminous plant called Gliricidia. 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 It's a shrub, a leguminous plant. The A that follows the G stands for Ageratum. AGE Aratum. Ageratum. Ageratum. Now that's a small herb. It grows by the roadside or abandoned field. It's a small shrub, so a small herb. Belongs to the sunflower family. The M that follows the A stands for manure. Manure. M-A-N-U-R-E. Manure. Farm manure. The second M stands for another leguminous plant called mucuna. Mucuna. M-U-C-U-N-A. The A that follows the M stands for Azadirachta. Azadirachta. A-Z-A-D, D for Daniel, Y-R-A-C-H-T-A. Azadirachta. Now that is the neem tree. Neem. N-E-E-M. Then L, which is the last letter there, stands for a leguminous shrub called Leucaena. 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 It's a leguminous shrub. If you have any question about the spelling of anything I have mentioned so far, you can unmute and ask before we go further, please.
The last one, sir. Leucaena.
Leucaena.
The spelling.
L-E-U-C-A-E.
Okay, C-A-E.
N-A.
Thank you, sir.
Please, the first one, the crotalaria. I didn't get the spelling.
Crotalaria.
Yes.
C-R-O-T-A-L-A-R-I-A. Crotalaria.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question before I go on?
Is this being recorded, sir?
All right.
We can revisit it. Can we revisit the recording?
You want me to go?
I'm asking if it is being recorded.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's being recorded. It's being
Okay.
recorded.
Thank you, sir.
Everything is being recorded.
Okay.
All right.
Please, sir, just a
Yes.
suggestion, Daddy.
What?
I think if the tech person can help us, the message that you sent to Mike Oye virtual group, if the tech person can help us lift that and put it on and share it, I think that will make the pronunciation and the the spelling clear and easy and much more easier for Daddy too. Please. Thank you. Because I have that and I'm following up with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he has heard it. He has heard what you have said. So thank you. The next thing I want to do is to show the images of each of these inputs, because I want every participant to be able to identify each of the inputs. It is very crucial. So the first one is already on the screen. Can we see it? You can unmute and answer me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good.
Very good, very good. I want to enlarge it so that we may see it better. Can we see that plant with flowers?
Yes, yellow flower.
Yellow flowers?
Yes.
Yes.
Now that is Crotalaria. Crotalaria retusa. There are many species of Crotalaria, but this one is extremely common. When it is fully grown, it's about, please show it still. Good. When it's fully grown, it's about 2 feet high. It's usually known by the fruit. Children play with the fruit. The fruit is brownish dry, and there are some shiny seeds inside, and children, use it to play by shaking the fruit.
Okay.
It's just by the roadside. It grows easily by the roadside. It's brown when it is ripe, and the seeds are also shiny brown inside. Do some people know it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's Crotalaria retusa. Now, this plant is a powerful producer of nitrates in the soil. It's a nitrogen fixing plant. And we are going to learn about how it can be used to put fertilizer in the soil. Just by broadcasting the seed on the piece of land where we want to plant, it germinates very quickly and gets to a height of about 2 feet and stops growing taller. So we can easily use it to plant crops that are like, corn, guinea corn, millet, cassava, and so on, because it will just stop at that height, and those other plants will grow taller, but it will be fixing nitrogen into the soil. It's so simple. When it dies, the plant goes back to the soil and supplies nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace elements, everything. So it's a recycling. All right, let's go to the next. Acacia. Acacia is a small tree. It grows mainly in the savanna area, in the Sahel, and it doesn't grow very tall. One advantage of it is a nitrogen fixer, but when you trim it, it remains short. We are going to learn about those inputs that are shrubs. There is a way of using them to continue to be on the land, and you'll be trimming the tree all the time. They are usually evergreen, they don't die. And the trimmings you trim are the things you are going to use for feeding animals. I am encouraging mixed farming, that is the raising of animals and the growing of crops together. Small farm animals like goats, sheep, chicken, turkey, guinea fowl, all types of things, rabbits. And when you grow trees like this and you use them to fix nitrogen, you can also be trimming them to supply food for the animals. Well, the animals will also produce droppings, and the droppings will be used on the farm. We will learn all the mechanisms later, but this is just to let us identify the plants and the other inputs. That's acacia, very prolific. Can we go to the next? Hello?
Yes, sir, we're hearing.
That's moringa.
We can hear you, sir.
Moringa.
That's moringa.
Mm.
I hope many of us know moringa.
Yes, yes.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
that
sir.
is called the miracle tree.
Mm-hmm.
The miracle tree. You can also call it Africa's savior. Those leaves you are looking at have been made by God and packed with almost everything a person needs to boost the immune system and make the body strong. And children particularly need it in order to grow healthy. It has reduced child mortality in Africa over the years. It makes adults also very strong because it boosts the immune system. But on the farm, apart from what I have said, it also nourishes the soil because those tiny leaves fall off the tree very easily. And when they get rotting, they supply nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium to the soil with all the trace minerals that are needed by the soil. It's also used in a system we are going to study later on It's a shrub. It goes along with that acacia in a particular system. The seeds are also useful. We will study all of that. So many of these things we are referring to are multi-purpose. They do a number of things. Apart from being fertilizer, they can be medicinal and they can be nutritive. Okay, can we go to the next?
So I want to ask a question.
Yes.
How can you use the moringa maybe to feed your animals?
No, we will come to all that. I'm only wanting you to identify the inputs first. Don't worry.
Okay.
We are going to deal with each one of these things in detail.
Okay.
Thank you. Next. Oh, okay. Pueraria. Can you enlarge the first one? Yeah. I wanted us to see it like this so that we may know how it covers the ground. Now, Pueraria is a wonderful plant, a nitrogen fixer, leguminous plant, and it is useful on the farm in many ways. If you are planting any crop, whether commercial or edible or anything, and you want to reduce cost of controlling weeds, this is one of the best plants to use because it grows very fast and will smother any other weed that wants to grow. So your soil is covered, your water is preserved in the soil, the roots will aerate the soil very well, minerals under are brought forward into the leaves drop and they get rotting, and so you bring things from under to the surface, the soil becomes very fertile, erosion is prevented. There are so many advantages. And of course, the leaves are food for your farm animals. The animals can get around and eat some of them, or you can harvest the leaves for the animals. Pueraria. There are other plants in the leguminous family that are similar to Pueraria. One common one is called Centrosema. It's very common. We will get to know all these things later. Can we go on? I hope you are noticing that many of the plants we are referring to are nitrogen fixers. And we need a lot of nitrogen in the tropics to make our crops grow very well and yield well. Hello?
Hello.
We are now
Okay, here we are.
Aggammal.
This is Aggammal, beginning Aggammal now. A for ash. Can you see the ash?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you look in the center of that bigger ash there, you can see two fires.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, we were taught in school not to be burning the trash on a new farm and so on, and that we will destroy the soil. That is not true.
Oh.
Actually, when you slash the farm and you allow the cuttings to dry and you set fire evenly over the farm and the thing burns, as you can see here, the soil is covered with this ash. And when it rains, the potassium salts that are formed get into the soil as potash. And that is extremely useful for plant growth. We will discuss it in detail later, but bush burning to use the ash on the soil is very, very important. This is the major supply of potassium and some trace minerals to the soil. So everything on the farm can go back into the soil for productivity. Can we go on? That's the A for AGGAMMAL. Then the G. There we are. If you can highlight, yeah. Now that is granite. Granite. I don't know how many of us know granite, but it's a common rock. It's a common rock. It usually comes out as inselbergs. It's an offshoot of volcanic eruption that has cooled down, and it's in small mountains all around in many countries in Africa and Asia. That's granite. In quarries, you find that they make stones out of the granite to construct roads and so on. And then you have this powder left. This is granite powder. You spread it over the farm evenly. You don't need a lot of it. You only need a small quantity. And the phosphorus in it will be dissolving into the soil with rain gradually. And that's all you need for your phosphorus. Of course, there are other sources of phosphorus like bone meal and so on. So we will deal with that later on. But this is granite. Do some of us know the granite?
Yes, sir.
You recognize
When you go to quarries, you find them.
They use it to build roads too.
Yeah, they use it for building roads. That's the main thing, but it's fertilizer. You can also burn bones at home. Pulverize it into some coarse powder and spread it on the plots. All right, can we go on? The second G is gliricidia. Gliricidia. It's a very fast-growing leguminous shrub. It's usually used for fencing, live fence, and it's also used for planting cocoa seedlings. Cocoa seedlings, it forms shade for cocoa seedlings. How many of us know that?
Yeah.
The Yorubas call it agumaniye.
Ben.
because it grows very fast without sense.
Mm.
It's a very important plant, useful in many ways. We'll study it. For example, the seeds can be used for destroying rodents that destroy crops.
Mm.
But it's a nitrogen fixer, a very important nitrogen fixer. With that one and other trees we have considered, we use them for what we call alley cropping. We will study that later. Can we go on?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is Ageratum. This is Ageratum. It's a small herb, about a foot or 1.5 feet high. The flowers are copious and whitish, sometimes slightly pinkish. They grow mainly by the roadside in the open.
Mm-hmm.
The leaves are usually used to stop bleeding.
Wow.
And it's in the sunflower family. The common name is goatweed. Ageratum conizoides. Do some of us know it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
In it.
Yeah, Tony, I know you will know it.
Yes, I do. Mhm.
I just know the Yoruba common name, Imiesu. But the English name is goatweed. All right. That one is going to serve as one of the pesticides, as we will study later. Very common, available. Shall we go on?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is manure. This is manure, the droppings of animals, chicken, goats, sheep, cows, whatever. Pigs. There's a way of making the manure and using it on the farm. So nothing is wasted on the farm.
Mm.
It's a matter of recycling things. We will learn how to recycle them. You can see that whatever we are trying to do here is organic. We haven't brought in any artificial chemicals. All right, let's go on. Of course, apart from manure, you can also make compost. Compost is from plant parts mainly. You can also mix the two. Now, this is mucuna. Mucuna behaves the same way as Pueraria and Centrosema. It's also a very powerful leguminous creeping plant, and it covers the soil very well. So it's not only a fertilizer. It is also a herbicide. It destroys other weeds. You can see how it's spreading there. It is also medicinal. We will study all that. All right, can we go on? Next slide.
It's up.
Perhaps if you show, perhaps, can we go back? If you show this, the fruit of mucuna, many more people will be able to identify it.
Mm. Mm.
Hello? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that shows the fruit. Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
There is a related member of this mucuna family called in Yoruba Iwerepe.
We're terrible plant.
Yeah.
Devils.
If the velvety skin, if the velvety pericarp of that fruit touches your skin, well, you are in trouble. It's a terrible irritant. That will make some people identify it easily. And it grows very, very fast. All right. Can we go to the next? Gliricidia, or the neem. That's not it. That's mucuna still. Yeah. This neem tree, you can see the fruits there, the green fruits, and the compound leaves there. That's the neem tree, Dogonyaro. That's Azadirachta indica. Now, the neem tree is very versatile, very medicinal, but mainly for agricultural purposes. It is a pesticide. It's one of the best pesticides. You can see it there. You can see the flowers and the leaves. We will study how to make pesticides out of this one. It's not poisonous. In fact, you can take it as medicine. So even if there's a residue left on the crop after spraying the crop, you are healing yourself. You are not dying. All right, let's go on. That's Azadirachta. I advise that every farmer should have at least one tree of Azadirachta on the farm.
It's up.
Now this Lucina. Lucina is also a small tree, a shrub of the leguminous family. It's a nitrogen fixer. It's evergreen. It's a life fence. But it's also used, like a few other plants we have seen, in the alley cropping system. We will study that. It fixes nitrogen very well. The leaves are very good for goats and sheep and other livestock. So you see, the mixed farming thing is at work in this formula. Now, this is in the way of introduction to these few plants. I want to mention one thing straight. During the course of the studies, we are going to find many alternatives to what we have just described. That means if we mention something like Lucina, there will be other plants that can replace Lucina easily in the formula. And they are all available. So every locality can have alternatives. Another thing I want to mention is that all these inputs may not be used by the same person at the same time. Depending on the usefulness and the need of a farmer can decide to use 3 of these items or 4 of them or only one of them, and each one will bring advantages in productivity. So we need to pay attention to the details of the properties and uses of each one of them so that we know what to use at what time and in what place. All right. Any questions so far on this identification before we go to categorize them? Please unmute and ask any question you want to ask about identification.
Sir, that one you said is, I mean, the one we say as Werekwe. I've forgotten the English name. Are you saying that can be used on the farm too?
Yeah, not that. It's not Werekwe itself.
Okay. Okay.
There's a related there's a related species of mucuna.
Okay.
That hasn't got that velvety fruit. Yeah. That is completely safe to use it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question? So those of us who don't know some of these plants, because some of us are city men instead of villagers, it's a good thing for us to try to identify them, or when we travel to the village, for us to let the villagers who are very knowledgeable show us those plants. Because if we don't know them, we cannot help them. We must know those plants to be able to help them. The plants are there, they don't know why, they don't know how to use them. All right, now look at the list. I want you to look at the list. We are going to categorize them. Let's start with fertilizers. Let's start with nitrogen fertilizers. With nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, mainly. Let's look at the list and point out nitrogen fertilizers. Crotalaria, number 1. Please categorize them yourself. Crotalaria is a nitrogen fixer, a leguminous plant. Acacia is a nitrogen fixer. Pueraria is a nitrogen fixer. Gliricidia is a nitrogen fixer. Leucina is a nitrogen fixer. Mucuna is a nitrogen fixer. How many plants do we have in the formula that are nitrogen fixers?
About 6.
6 of them.
How many?
7.
7 of them.
Mhm.
7 of them. Now, among those nitrogen fixers, you tell me how many are creepers? We have discussed that. How many are creepers? Come on.
4.
Are you sure?
6.
Creepers that creep, they cover the soil completely.
Yes.
How many?
Mucuna. Mm.
Bisaria, Mukura, Agerici. Bisidia.
I think there are only 2.
Glycidia is a shrub.
So, sir. Okay.
There are only 2.
Okay, the rest. Artista is a shrub.
Mucuna.
Puereria
Florida
and Mucuna.
is a shrub. Florida is a creeper. Mukura is a creeper. Bisidia
Those are
is
the
a
2.
shrub. Okay.
No, Pleurocidia is a tree.
It's a tree, yes. Yes. A tree.
There are only 2. And they are nitrogen fixers. And they are mainly good for tree crops. Tree crops. Because if you use them for small crops, they will cover the crops themselves.
Mm.
Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if somebody has planted a small orchard, an orchard of, say, oranges, an orchard of mango trees, an orchard of banana trees, an orchard of plantain, an orchard of pawpaw trees.
Mhm.
That is the best thing to plant there, to do a lot of work. The ground will be covered. You don't need to hire labor to weed.
Mm.
And the soil will be made very much, nutritive for the plants. Now, if you are going to plant something like cassava, cassava or corn, or millet, or any of the cereals, you may not use these ones because they will climb those small plants
Choke them.
and cover them so that they don't have access to sunlight.
Yes.
So what you should use is something like crotalaria. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Crotalaria, because it doesn't grow more than, say, 2 feet. So the crotalaria will be down there, and your cassava or your corn or your guinea corn or your millet will grow tall. But we'll be making use of the nitrogen fixed by the crotalaria.
Mm.
Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Another wonderful plant you can use if you can't get Crotalaria, is groundnuts.
Peanuts.
Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Groundnuts, just grow groundnuts, in between your cassava. You can even grow it on the hips. You can grow groundnuts on big heaps of yam.
Mm.
Now the groundnuts
To provide
will be
nitrogen.
supplying nitrogen to those crops.
You see that,
And one wonderful thing is that it grows only for a few months and you harvest. But you have already used it, to supply a lot of nitrogen to your root crop, like yam, like cassava, like, all types of things like that.
Please, I want to know, what about beans? If you
Yes.
maybe you crop beans
No, you can
and
you
you
can
take
plant
the
beans.
beans and you
Yeah,
plow
correct.
the beans, you plow it into the system for it to feed,
Yeah,
get
you
the
can.
nitrogen.
Actually, beans doesn't climb very much. There are some beans that don't climb other crops. They
No, what I want to know is that
trail very much on the ground.
can't you crop the beans? After that, you take the beans off, then you plow the stems, everything
Yeah, but
the
even while the
land.
beans is growing, it's already supplying nitrogen. I am agreeing with you. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to identify and learn about these plants. It's very important. All right. Now we have grouped plants that supply nitrogen to the soil. And there are a lot of them. There are many of them. So no farmer can go without, can have an excuse not to have something to supply nitrogen to the soil. Now, in the tropics, the nitrates are easily destroyed by a lot of sunlight.
Mm.
And therefore, using these crops, using these inputs is very important. Using one or two of them so that the soil is really rich in nitrogen for productivity. Now, let's look at the formula again. What is going to be the major source of potassium is ash.
Ash.
Ash is very rich in potassium salts. And one good thing about potassium salts is that all potassium salts are soluble. So any amount of rain will make the potassium salts available to the crops. Another good advantage of wood ash is that all the other trace elements that are necessary in small quantities for plant growth are available in the ash.
Mm.
So actually using this method makes you get everything you need for healthy plant growth. Have you noticed that those of you who have grown on farms, when you plant your crops and you plant where you actually burnt
Yeah.
the trash.
Mhm.
Yeah. They
Those
do
that
very well.
grow there are
Yeah.
healthier,
Very healthy.
stronger,
That's true.
and
Yeah.
more productive.
Yes, true.
Now, this is why you should not collect everything from the farm into one spot, but rather allow the thing to dry where you cut it and then set fire when they are dry so that your fertilizer, potash fertilizer, is spread evenly over the farm.
Mhm.
It affords for even growth of your crop and better productivity. Or let the people in the village not waste all the ash in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Most of them cook with wood. Let them store the ash from the kitchen. Let them have a bag in the kitchen where they store every ash. And then they can come to the plot and spread the potash on the farm, or make a ring around each crop and put the fertilizer, the potash, inside the ring. I said a ring because if you allow the potash directly to touch the tender plant that is growing,
Sure.
it can
Good.
destroy it
Mhm.
because it is caustic. It's caustic. When the rain comes, what is needed by the plant will be dissolved into the soil and the roots will absorb.
Yeah.
Don't waste what is in the kitchen. It is important for recycling into the farm. So that is the main source of potash. But remember that manure contains nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. Everything needed is in the manure. Compost also contains nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, and other trace elements. Then the leaves that fall from moringa or from any other plant or from those creepers, all of them supply nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So there is no way the soil will lack anything that is necessary for growth. In the formula, you find granite. Granite is a main source of phosphorus. Just broadcast the granite on the plot, and gradually rainfall will dissolve the phosphates that will nourish the crop that will grow. Not much of phosphorus is needed. Any questions so far about inputs of fertilizer? We have touched everything in that formula that is directly to be used as a fertilizer. The only thing we have not done is now to describe a few other things which we have not touched, like ageratum. What else have we not touched? I want you to
The neem.
participate.
The
neem.
Luciana.
Huh?
Luciana.
Oh, Leucaena. Leucaena. Okay. Leucaena. Now that is the same as Gliricidia. It's a leguminous plant fixing nitrogen. Yeah, add it to the list of nitrogen fixers. Leucaena. It's also evergreen. It is used as a life fence. All right. Those are the inputs so far as fertilizer is concerned. Now let's look at pesticides. Let's look at pesticides in the formula. That category consists of ageratum, goatweed, and azadirachta, neem, azadirachta. In one of our studies, we will study how to make the herbicide from those two plants. But we will mention many other plants again that are useful as pesticides. Have you noticed in passing that we have already mentioned a few plants that are herbicides? Hello?
Yes. Ageratum.
Can you mention one plant that's a herbicide in the formula?
Moringa.
Moringa?
No.
Well, because of the shade it produces, but that one is limited.
Okay.
We have mentioned
Neem.
two plants that are herbicides.
Yeah,
Neem.
The neem.
Neem.
Yeah.
No, neem is a tree.
Not a herb.
Okay.
Neem is a
Ageratum.
pesticide. Have you not?
Okay.
You can't remember that we mentioned two creepers. We mentioned
Mucuna.
Pueraria. We mentioned Mucuna. I even mentioned Centrosema. All those creepers are good for tree crops. I mentioned them. I mentioned mango. I mentioned, have we forgotten?
Cassava.
No, I mentioned oranges. I mentioned orchards.
Pawpaw.
Yeah. Those things will grow under and make sure that no other weed grew. So your productivity increases. But there are many more plants that do the same thing. How many of us know of Cajanus? Cajanus. All right, when we are dealing with herbicides in detail, we will show some photographs of those plants. Now, what I want us to do to round up for today is to think of the different ways of using these things. I want to talk about mixed farming. Mixed farming. The most economical way of making our local people farm and gain from the farming is to raise both crops and small animals. This enables recycling. It is a form of resource management. What the crops will produce will feed the home, but there will be byproducts from the crops, and the animals will feed on the byproducts. The animals will now have their droppings collected and put back into the farm. That's a very important way of managing the soil and using the same soil over the years for crops. The animals will produce animal protein, and the farm will produce all types of things: carbohydrates, proteins, grains, pulses. What we are aiming at is a small-scale farming, which is mixed farming. Inside the mixed farming, there can be what we call intercropping. Intercropping is planting a number of crops together. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Instead of planting only one crop, you can plant a number of crops together and they will not harm one another. For example, there are crops that are deep feeders and there are crops that are shallow feeders. So if you plant a deep feeder with a shallow feeder, on the same soil, you are taking advantage of their characteristics to bring out much productivity. And this is a method our people were using before so-called modern civilization came and destroyed that method. Our people were able to use a very small piece of land to produce all that was needed in the home. Monocropping came to destroy that method, and we need to return to it. Intercropping. And then mixed cropping. There can even be what we call gallery cropping, where you plant one particular crop around the whole farm and you use it as a fence and also use it as a bait for destructive animals like rodents. We will go into the details of this one by one in future lectures. I don't want to take too much time each time. I think we have used over an hour now. I would like some questions to be asked and we discuss around what we have done so far.
I want to know, I think the NIM, I think the other one showed us how the nitrogen enters the system, but the NIM, you didn't teach us how to use it for the pesticide.
No. What I've done today is just an introduction.
Of the trees, of the plants.
There will be a whole session for pesticides. There will be a whole session for herbicides. There will be a whole session, even the fertilizer we have done. We don't know how to apply it yet. We will deal with each thing in detail, because if you don't get the technology for it, you can't use it. For example, there's something I mentioned in passing called alley cropping. Alley cropping, A-L-L-E-Y. Alley cropping involves some of the trees in the formula, like gliricidia, like acacia, like lucina. All those are used in alley cropping, where you plant them in rows about 15 feet apart, and then within the 15 feet, you now plant your crop. And the roots of those trees will be supplying nitrogen to all the crops you have planted in between them. No questions? Observations?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, please, I want to find out whether acacia is the same thing as the one we call cassia.
No.
Okay.
Cassia is different.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Cassia
sir.
is different, but both of them are leguminous plants.
Okay, sir.
Cassia occidentalis is a very small plant.
Okay.
Although these days we call it senna. Senna occidentalis.
Okay,
The cassias are today called Senna, S-E-N-N-A.
Okay.
Some acacias are thorny, and they are browsed by goats in the savannah area very much. Please, I will enjoin all participants to be regular at each session on Thursdays, because this thing is progressive and continuous, and one teaching builds upon the other and so on. I have graded them, and if you don't get the whole gamut, you will not be able to help the local farmers very much. Now, this is something I have practiced for decades. Wherever I go, I set up a small farm and I apply some of these principles, and all that I produce are organic. It is a secret to health, and it's a cheap way of making use of what God has provided. I very much recommend backyard garden, where a lot of the things needed by the home can be planted. It doesn't need a lot of land at all. It's a principle that has been used for ages. In fact, some of our rural people already know these things and they apply them. They may not systematize them as we are doing now, but they apply them. They have their backyard gardens where most of the vegetables they eat come from. And you will see that they are stronger than we in the cities. The only thing is that modern technologies in agriculture have already made our people to be lazy, and they don't even plant anything at all because of the cost of fertilizer and other inputs. But we want to encourage them to go back and use the natural methods, which is healthy for them.
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Good evening, sir. I have a question, please.
Yes, go on, please.
Yes, sir. Most of the names in this formula, I think they are botanical names. Now, and you said earlier that some of these plants and shrubs are available in our local settings. Is it possible?
All of them are available.
It's okay. Is it possible if we get their names in the local names, we will understand? Like when you mention Azarapta, none of us knew that we are talking of the popular dogoyaro. So if we
that is why I showed the images of the plants. It is your duty to go to your local area, show them the pictures, and they will tell you the names of those plants. I cannot know the names in all the local languages in Africa.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Yes, I do. But if we can get it, maybe at least maybe in Yoruba, in Igbo, that are popular here, then we can start off from there.
The platform is for all tropical lands, and I think it would be biased to mention only Nigerian names and so on. There are people joining from other countries.
Okay.
I think with what we have done, you can do your little research yourself and find the local names of your people.
Okay.
Go.
It's okay.
All
Thank you very
right,
much, sir.
all right. What I would do when we come next week, let me do some little work. When we come next week, I will have found some names of the local people in different countries, and then we will discuss. But I think it will be helpful if you yourself can do a bit of research. But all the plants are available around the tropics. Pastor Sumbo, you want to say something?
No, sir, I'm okay, sir.
Oh, okay. All right, if there are no questions for today, just try to identify those plants, do some little research about them, know their properties and what they can do. And when we come next, we'll go into details.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. This is Tunde from the Gambia, sir.
Hey, God bless you.
Amen and amen. So I want to find out if possible to get the recorded version of each class so that we can read up again and again to understand much better.
It's already recorded.
We
It's
just shared
already
the link.
recorded.
The link is shared right now. The YouTube link is on the chat right now. Please take note of it. You have everything.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. And let's make sure we share the link, subscribe, like. Papa's goal is to share this information with everybody. So please don't
Exactly.
share it and invite many people to join next Thursday. God bless you, Papa.
Pass it to the grassroots, please. That is the fulfillment. All right. See you next week.